Hello, everybody. It's Alex with Fly Fish Fork, the fly fishing guide on Lake Fork at present. Wanted to do a short video today. The weather's getting kind of cold, and I wanted to talk about proper attire if you're going to be on your boat in a boat on the lake this time of year. Um, I noticed that at least when I went out a lot when I was younger, I would wear the same coveralls, the big old clunky cotton and canvas coveralls that I used at work or for duck hunting. And I'd go out in my boat and I'd go fishing in the middle of winter. And, you know, that's okay to stay warm, but I want you to think about the, the unfortunate, the possible unfortunate problem if you fall in the water wearing those things, and that it can be pretty devastating because they soak up so much water so fast. You can imagine they get really heavy. A few years ago, I took a friend of mine to a private lake fishing, and he and I showed up at the little common area at this lake. This is about a 30-acre lake. It's in East Texas, beautiful little lake. And when we got there, we were met by a very somber crowd of local homeowners and game wardens. And it ended up that two fishermen had actually gone out fishing and they sank their boat. I think, if I remember correctly, a big storm blew up on them and they just couldn't get out of the water fast enough, and the dadgum boat sank and both of them drowned very tragically. And one of them, when we got there, they had already pulled his body out, but the other one, it took several days to get. And when they finally found him, the reason they're having a hard time finding him is while he was in the water, he was trying to remove his coveralls. They were construction workers working on a house on this little development. And while he was under the water, he was trying to remove his coveralls, and he never made it. When they found him, his coveralls were, halfway off of him and hung up in something, and it was just a disaster from there. And so that always bothered me, and I always wondered whether or not he had had a better chance if he had been wearing something different than those big coveralls. As you know, they were those big old cottony coveralls. So I decided I wanted to talk to you guys today about just a couple of ideas and I've been online and checked on Amazon, and I've looked at Bass Pro. I looked at all these places to kind of look at price ranges for, instead of using those big bulky coveralls, wearing bibs, which a lot of us wear anyway. I mean, I do. I have Bass Pro bibs that I wear, and they keep me dry, and they're pretty windproof, and they keep me warm enough. Of course, um, you're gonna layer up underneath them if it's real cold. But I'm an old dude. I don't go out when it's real cold. But I know that if I did, I'd be layering up. And so my point is that the heavy outside layer is, if you fall in the water, you want to get that off as quickly as possible so that it's not holding you in the water, turning you basically into a human anchor. So you want to wear something, you want to think through that when you're purchasing this stuff, or when you're going to go out in a boat. Because look, this time of year, you can go out and it could be 70 degrees here in East Texas, but you're out in 50-degree water. So if you fall in that water, you've got just a few seconds. Man, when that cold water hits you, all kinds of weird stuff happens to your body, to your brain. You go into hypothermia fairly quickly within a few minutes. And so you have to think, boy, what I'm thinking about is what can I do to sort of, um, keep the damage down and get me out of that, where I can get out of that water as quickly as possible, or someone can help me out of the water. Now, if I'm wearing and I'm a big guy, so if I'm wearing a big old bulky pair of coveralls, you're not getting me back in that boat. I'll tell you, because those coveralls will weigh 100 pounds. And so If I had a bib on with a jacket over it, which is what I always wear, then I could possibly pull that jacket off and get out of there pretty easy, because bib pants, the water will go right through the bib pants. It's not soaking in. And so that's sort of my thought today. I wanted to talk to you about thinking through these things when you go out. We have about 25, 30 people a year drowned in Texas, and mostly in the summertime, for boating accidents. And that's kind of average. Most of the time, about 80% of them do not have life vest on. So if you're gonna be out in a boat, obviously when the boat's moving, and it's cold and you're wearing these coveralls, definitely wear a life jacket, and just get you a nice inflatable. They're comfortable. You can leave them on all day. They won't bother you. And if something happens, because you're wearing bulky clothes, you just don't know what's going to happen. You could trip. I always step on the bottom of mine. They're a little too long. It's hard to get them just the right size, right? And so to get them to fit the going around your part and the length part, sometimes they're a little long, and so you can step on them. That's what happens with me a lot, and so it would be easy to trip and end up in the water. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that happened. So I'm trying to mitigate the damage as much as possible, just so I can get back out of that water. So my advice is get a bib type suit to wear over your clothing. If you layer up, just make sure you're wearing stuff that if you have to pull something off real quick, you can get it off. I mean, if you've got bibs on and they've got uh, the deals over your shoulder, you can slip that over pretty easy and get out of that. So that's doable. Um, Also, along with that is, if you're wearing big clunky hunting boots to keep your feet warm, you may have defeated the whole purpose of getting the bibs. So get some slip-on uh, deck deck boots, and they make them that are insulated. They'll keep your feet warm, keep your feet dry. And if if you fell in the water, you could kick them off pretty fast if you needed to. And heck, they'd probably float to the top. And so think about your shoes also. Now, also, you're going to be wearing gloves probably when you're out there. There's all kinds of fantastic gloves. There's mittens that, you pull the finger part up so that you can fish or hunt with them on. Those are fantastic. I always used wool. I like the wool gloves with the half fingers in them. And the reason I like that is because wool will actually keep you warm when it's wet. It can get really wet, but it'll actually kind of keep you warm, or you can kind of wring it out and put it back on. Cotton doesn't do that. Cotton gets wet and it just stays cold. And of course, now we've got all these new materials that kind of wick the moisture away from your skin. That's something to consider too. But I'm thinking cost wise, you can get these bib overalls or coveralls, bib coveralls, whatever they call them, for anywhere from $50 up. And you can spend a lot of money on them if you want, as you know. The gloves are very important. Now, also, I would recommend that you keep a pair of socks in a baggie. Take them with you to keep your feet, in case your feet get wet. I don't know about you, but man, it makes me crazy miserable when my feet get wet and I'm in the boat. Again, I'm thinking in terms of if you actually fell in the water. Also, the main thing is I'm looking at my notes down here. The main thing is to wear that life jacket the whole time you're in the boat in the wintertime. Again, we're going to have weather here the next couple of weeks that's going to be pretty comfortable. It'll be in the high 60s, maybe 70, but that water's around 50. And so I don't want to fall in 50-degree water. I've done it. Of course, I was a young fella, and I was actually jumping into the 50-degree water because who cared back then? But that's not the case anymore. And so you go into instant shock when that happens. So be prepared, and it's really best to have someone with you whenever you go out fishing this time of year. I like to fish alone, but I would feel a lot better if I had somebody with me just in case I got into a problem and fell in the lake. I'd want someone to help me get back out. So I also today wanted to talk to you quickly about a friend of mine has published a book. It's been out for a while, and I keep meaning to bring it up, and I keep forgetting. Greg DeMars. This is the book right here. It's called the Urban Fly Fishing. Now that lettering may have all gone on there backwards because I have my selfie camera on, so I don't know how it's going to look. But I'll put down in the comment section. I'll put the name of the book and where to find them. It's called the Urban Fly Fishing for Dallas and Fort Worth, and it's the author is Greg DeMars, and there's a website on here that I'll put in the comment section. The reason I brought this up, I had somebody contact me this week and ask me about fishing and if I fish in streams or anything like that in the wintertime. And there's just not, I don't know of a whole lot of places out here in East Texas to do that. Surely there are some, but I don't know them. But I can tell you this: if you want a lot of fishing, this book is thick. And I grew up in Dallas, and that's how I learned to fish, was those little streams and ponds around Dallas back in the 60s and 70s when I was learning. And there's a ton of places to go and fish, and this book will also, a lot of those places, the Texas Parks and Wildlife puts trout in this time of year, releases trout for people. This is a fantastic book. Give it a try. It's called Urban Fly Fishing, and it's the only one he's written. So it's the Dallas Fort Worth edition, but we're trying to talk him into writing another one. He's being kind of stubborn about it, but check it out. It's a good book, got great information. Like and subscribe if you like these videos. Leave a comment, got any questions, and be safe out there. Have a great time fishing in the winter.